Hi everyone, I'm Marcy, and today's recipe comes with a bit of a history lesson because I'm going to be making something that probably many of you have never had before unless you've spent some time in New Mexico, particularly the northern part of the state. It's there that you'll find the most delicious blue corn pancakes that are often served with toasted piñon nuts and blueberry syrup. I think you're really going to love them, and if you've been following my recipes for a while, you're also going to see a familiar face. Last year, I introduced you to Mary Louise Sanchez, the author of an award-winning book titled The Wind Called My Name. Even though we live in different states, we were able to connect via the internet and join forces to share a recipe for torrejas, which she wrote about in her book.
I'm hungry.
Well, since then, we've met in person, and I found out that not only do we share a love of old cookbooks, but she's also quite the historian. So I've invited her back today and asked her to share about the history of blue corn and how it is that it wound up in so many New Mexico dishes. Hi, Mary Louise. Thanks for joining us again.
Well, I'm very excited to be here, especially talking about blue corn, which we just saw in Oaxaca, Mexico on our trip there in December and January. I think I had the largest chips and salsa there that I've ever seen, and they were blue corn.
Well, I'm excited to hear what you have for us. But first, I want to go over what you'll need for this recipe. We're going to start with 1 cup of blue cornmeal, 1 cup all-purpose flour, 1 3/4 teaspoon baking powder, 3/4 of a teaspoon baking soda, 2 tablespoons sugar, 1/2 teaspoon salt, 1 large egg, 1 1/2 cups buttermilk. And then this is optional, but I've got some toasted piñon nuts. These are pine nuts, by the way. And I just toasted them quickly earlier. It takes nothing. You just use a hot, ungreased skillet, put them in there for just a few minutes, and that's really it. And then I've got some blueberry syrup, which goes particularly well with blue corn pancakes. Now, you may have a hard time finding blue cornmeal depending on where you live. So in the description box, I'm going to put where in Albuquerque I got this from, and you can order it online, or you can also find blue cornmeal on Amazon. But let's go ahead and get started. What I'm going to do is measure out a cup of this blue cornmeal and then put together all my dry ingredients. And while I do that, Mary Louise, go ahead and talk about the origins of blue corn.
Blue corn is native to the region around Oaxaca, Mexico. In the southwest of the United States, in New Mexico, that's where it's very prevalent, and especially with the Hopi Nation. In the Hopi religion, they have a designation for all the different corns in the United States having to do with directions. For instance, the yellow corn is associated with the northwest. The blue corn is associated with the southwest. Red corn is with the southeast, and white corn is with the northeast. So it's all directional. One of the reasons blue corn grows so well there is because it does well in drought conditions. And we know New Mexico is in a drought-related region. It only grows like 4 to 5 feet. It's not very tall, and it's very deep-rooted. It does have a rich, sweet flavor, and it's usually used in ground form, and it's not eaten off the cob like yellow corn.
That is so interesting. So much to blue corn for sure. Well, it looks really pretty. I just mixed it up in my dry ingredients, and now I'm going to add the wet ingredients. And by the way, if the batter is too thick, you can always add a little more milk, but I'm going to see when we get to that point. Meantime, we should talk about some of the health benefits to blue corn because there are a lot of them, aren't there?
There sure are. Blue corn has more antioxidants than blueberries. and we know how good blueberries are for you. Another thing that they have are 2 antioxidants which are helpful to your eye health. For instance, one of the antioxidants is lutein and the other one is zeaxanthin, and these are exclusively for our eyes, and we don't think about that, but that can help prevent cataracts and also macular degeneration. I wished I had taken that years ago. And also it is easier to digest than yellow corn because it has less starch, and it has a higher protein content. It also has less starch and a lower glycemic index. That's very important, especially for people who are prone to diabetes or even have prediabetes. And it's a good source of fiber, iron, magnesium, and other vitamins and minerals. And it also has been proven to help lower blood pressure. So blue corn is the way to go, I think, in our diet. It's a superfood, so go blue.
Yes, go blue for sure. Although this batter looks a little more purple to me anyway, but it worked out just fine with the amount of buttermilk that I used. So now I've got my griddle heating and I'm going to go ahead and make some pancakes. And while I do that, we can talk about some other ways that you can use blue corn. Do you have a favorite?
Well, my favorite way to eat blue corn is on vacation.
Of course.
Of course, we had it in Oaxaca, Mexico. I always make sure that when we're in New Mexico and we're at a restaurant, I look for the blue corn and ask for that specifically. And personally, I bought the blue corn, and at home, I've coated my chili rellenos with the blue corn. I have made waffles with the blue corn, and what's nice about the waffles, then you can freeze them. In fact, I made some this week, and then I had some today in honor of our show.
Yeah, you know, I even debated whether I should make blue corn tortillas for this video, and I may still do that at some point in the future, but I just thought that blue corn pancakes are so fun, and they're so easy to make. These ones are coming along nicely.
Other people have blue corn in tortillas. There's blue corn mush, atole, which is famous for being blue, tortilla chips, in the aisles. Look for the ones that have the blue corn. And there are probably other ways, but those are the ways that I've eaten and enjoyed them.
Well, I've got my short stack ready to go. I'm going to put some butter on there and of course some of these toasted piñon nuts and the blueberry syrup, and I'll be ready to give these a try. Well, once again, Mary Louise, I feel really guilty eating in front of you. I wish there was a way that we could share food somehow over the internet, but what do you think?
Oh, wow. Those are great. It's a good thing I had my blue corn waffles today, or otherwise I'd be very jealous. But I do think that these heirloom superfoods, they belong in our modern kitchens and on our tables.
They really do. All right, I'm going to give this a taste. Make sure I get plenty of syrup in there because I love it. They're so good. You know, it's kind of hard to describe what they taste like. I would say that blue corn is a little more earthier, a little more gritty. I don't know if that's a word. They're just like a heartier pancake, lightly sweet, really delicious, especially with the blueberry syrup. It's just a really great combination. I hope that you try this. I hope you make this yourself. And if nothing else, if you're ever in New Mexico, in Santa Fe or in Albuquerque, you should easily be able to find blue corn pancakes at restaurants there, and be sure to give them a try. Well, Mary Louise, thank you so much for joining us again, and best of luck to you as well with your new book.
Yes, well, I want to thank you and Tony for being ambassadors for New Mexico, and my forthcoming book, which isn't published yet, It's a nod to the Santero tradition in New Mexico, and I'm giving a thumbs up to New Mexico too, from Colorado.
That's awesome. Thank you. And thanks to all of you for watching. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already done so. I also invite you to follow me at Marcy Inspired on Instagram and Facebook. Until next time, blessings from my kitchen to yours.